Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the next episode on Anubhav Learning Series. This is part 2 of CDS performance improvement annotations and how do you analyze the static and runtime dependencies of CDS performance. In this video, we will go ahead and talk about what are all those annotations which will help you to improve performance of your CDS views and achieve the desired service qualities. So in the last episode, we talked about what is a static dependency and what is a runtime dependency of your execution. We talked about query plan execution and how the HANA is processing actually your actually producing the final result of your CDS execution. So if you have not seen my part 1 of this video series, please do hit the I button out there and you will be navigated to part 1 of this video. So I would recommend you to please finish part 1 before watching this part 2 directly. So let's go back to the system. So in the last episode, we have seen how we can do analysis of a static dependency and how we can also do analysis of the runtime dependency. And we found out that our example CDS was taking about this much of time to execute. I think it's in the milliseconds. So this was the time it was taking. So what exactly SAP has given the guideline in terms of improvement or performance improvement to tell the ABAP engine or to tell the HANA engine how to improve the performance. So SAP has actually released certain guidelines. The best way to learn these guidelines is learn from standard. So whenever I stuck personally with some things, or if I'm not able to understand what to do at certain point of time, I always take reference from standard. So when it comes to CDS also, I looked into the system, some of the standard CDS views offered by S4, and then I found out some quite interesting annotations out there in those CDS views, which actually helped me understanding more deepen the CDS concept and also to improve the performance of my custom CDS view, which I have created. So let's go ahead and talk about them. So let me just show you some of the standard CDS views which SAP delivers. And some of them are my favorite, the ones which are part of SD. So let me open the one. So this is my custom CDS, but let me open the one which is my standard one. So I go with C underscore sales analytic query underscore one. That's the one which we use very often for embedded analytics in S4. And now here, as you can see in this CDS view, there are some quite good number of annotations out here, say data class, service quality, and size category. So these three annotations attracted my attention, and then I read a little bit more about them, and I found out they are actually going to influence the performance of your CDS views. Yes, exactly. So these are all the views, and SAP has clearly stated a strict guideline in keeping these categories, choosing the data class, service quality, and size category. Basically, all comes under usage type to make sure that your desired performance quality is being achieved. So we'll understand that in more detail, but you can also see if this view is using some other view. For example, this view is using an interface view here. I'll go inside. You will see here that here also they have maintained these different annotations. So this is quite critical and important. As you can see, for almost every view, it's being maintained. Okay, so the typical guideline is accept private views, which the one which starts with P underscore. You should maintain these annotations out there in the system. So what are all these annotations and how they're actually influencing the performance? So let me just switch you back to the presentation. And first of all, let's understand these three annotations. So what are those annotations? So there are three categories of these characteristics, also called annotations, which we have, which needs to be assigned usage type for the domain at the rate object model. So the actual source of these annotations is object model under that usage type. And then we have these three annotations which we will use. So the first one is service quality. The possible values for this is A, B, C, D, X, and P. So these are all the possible values you can assign. The second one is called size category. S for small, M for medium, basically all our t-shirt size, small, medium, large, XL, and XSL. That's another possible value you can assign. And then the data class, which tells the type of data you're processing using the CDS: transactional, master, organizational, customizing, and meta, and mixed. So these are all the values which you possibly can assign. Let's understand more each one of them in detail. So let's come to service quality first. So service quality, it is actually telling the SAP HANA database, what is that I'm expecting from you, HANA? Hey, HANA, what is the KPI or the quality or the response time I'm expecting? So suppose in your company, there is a very, very critical CDS view, which has to give you a response maybe in point 0.1 millisecond. Okay. So in that case, you want to tell SAP HANA that, hey, this particular CDS view, I want to give with very high service quality. So in that case, this is my top query, or this is my top CDS. I want to get the maximum squeeze out of it. So that's where the service quality A should be used. As you can see, they are always written in decrementing order. So A being the highest service quality and D being the lowest. So it doesn't mean that you, for every table or every CDS view, you start giving A as the service quality or KPI quality. Don't do that, because then you will also have problems, because also there's another guideline on top of it, in what cases you should choose A or B or C. So make sure that there is also a clear guidance in terms, when you put A, what is the service quality can you expect out of it? So SAP has also made it very clear that if you're keeping A, at least you can expect this much fast response time from the system. So A being the highest service quality, D being the lowest, and then X and P. X is mainly used for certain KPI based qualities. This KPI should be used for when certain type of test cases are demanded. And then P type is reserved for hierarchy CDS only. So whenever you're creating hierarchy CDS, like we did in our ABAP on HANA course, come S4 HANA course. So that's where I would probably choose the P as the service quality if I want to achieve a good service quality. So these annotations are quite important, basically telling HANA DB how important this CDS execution is for me in context of performance KPI. So that's the first value. So remember, as I will also show you in a minute, in what cases you should choose A, B, C, or D. How do you decide that? Okay. Now, next comes is your size category. The size category is basically classification is that the size of the involved tables has significant impact on the resource consumption within HANA. So if you think that your database table which you've used in CDS is less than 1000 records, give the size category as S. So now HANA will treat it accordingly. Okay, so if you give a size category, let's say XL, then HANA will allocate more resources to your execution so that it can be processed much faster. And if you give as S, which means you are telling HANA, hey, I don't have many records in my table. It's more probably 1000, kind of 1000 to 2000 records. So HANA doesn't really need to allocate too much of consumption, too much of resources, CPU consumption, CPU power to this type of CDS. All right, during execution time. So that way you are actually preserving a lot of important and precious resources of HANA. At the same time, these precious resources can be given to a CDS with quality with this data size XSL, which is probably processing humongous amount of data. So this is the way you will tell HANA earlier itself that, hey HANA, probably this type of data which I'm expecting is XSL, which means HANA will then go ahead and accordingly allocate resources for your execution. So higher the size category, higher the amount of resources, CPU consumption will be given to your execution plan or execution query plan. So that's how you can give size category. The next one comes is data class. Oh my God, this is too much of theory. Anyway, I will share this slide with all of you. You can find the description of this video to download this slide, to also read through this document in detail. So that way you can also mark it properly. So let me quickly tell you the data categories: transactional, master, organization, customizing, meta, and mixed. So transactional is when you have kind of transaction data like sales orders, purchase orders, or financial postings, all these type of data, your transactional data. Typically, they are high in volume. So when they're high in volume, of course, HANA will allocate more processing to this. Master data, it doesn't change so frequently. So which means the data which is kind of used for executing your transactions is master data. Typically the materials, the business partner, the account details, these are master data. So HANA would probably assume the data is not subjected to too much of frequent changes. Hence, it will be processed by maybe the OLTP engine or OLAP engine. Then organization data, very rare to change. Like for example, cost center, sales unit, distribution channel, and stuff like that. So in that case, HANA is pretty much sure that the data is almost not going through major changes, so it can accordingly process it. Customizing data, the data which is typically delivered by SAP itself to enrich the extension and customer experience. So that's like unit of measure, your currency codes, your country information. These are all customizing data. So HANA would also assume that this is more like a static data. So in that case, HANA can also buffer such queries into the query plan. So query plan will be buffered and it will be reused again and again rather than recreating the query plan again for this kind of data. So all these kind of benefits you get. The meta is mainly all the data dictionary structure, the metadata of the database table. For example, you built a CDS which tells you how many number of database tables you have inside the system. Yeah. Or how many CDS view itself you have inside the system. This kind of category is meta, very rarely used. Mixed is more like the database tables or where you are actually joining the transaction and master data together. So that's a mixed category of data class. So you can decide it better, and accordingly HANA will decide the consumption in terms of usage. So of course, transactional data is always given high precedence, and you can see they are written in the precedence level accordingly. So now I was telling you about the expectation, what can you give as an input and what can you expect. So these are the service quality guidelines. As you can see, if you have a table which is between this size and number of tables are involved are less than 3 and they are of any category, and if you choose A as your service quality, you can at least expect a response time less than 1 millisecond. For a query like select single from DB table, if you want select all the columns as you can see star, then it is probably up to less than 2 millisecond you can expect. So this part here is your input. If you choose the input correctly, you can expect this as your output. This is your service quality KPI in terms of time, how much time you will get the response typically. So now based on this table, you can just download my PPT from the description and just check which category, which class and which data class you will mark for your table. So if there are less than 5 tables involved, probably you would want to go with service quality B, which is of any category, doesn't matter, any type of data doesn't matter. So there are these A and B mainly used for business logics, which are transactions and background processing, which you used to do in classical ERP. So that can be now implemented with these service qualities, service quality, size category and data class, and you can expect this response time. So this is the output response time you can expect. So suppose I have a CDS view which I want to execute in less than 1 millisecond. And if that has only 3 tables involved, then I can choose any of the data class. I can choose any size category, but I will mark my service quality as A because I'm expecting response within 1 millisecond for a select single with field or select single star with less than 2 millisecond. So this is how you can actually choose the relevant categories, the relevant service quality with the relevant type of data and data class. So in our use case, just now we saw when we executed our CDS view, custom CDS view, which we created and executed. Let's try to now put these annotations, some of these annotations, and then execute it again, again a runtime analysis and see is there really a performance improvement which I am able to get when I put these annotations. So let me do that. So I go back to the to our CDS view. So this is our CDS view. So let me just go ahead and put these annotations now. So at the rate object model dot usage type, and now inside this I'll put all these 3 annotations. So I just do control space to do code completion, and right and just putting the default values what it's producing. So in my case, how do I decide? So I know with my static dependency that I just have only 3 tables or 2 tables involved. So I just have 2 tables and my data records are like in 10,000s. And in that case, let's go and choose the right category. So I go back to this table. So as you can see here, the data is of mixed type. I have both transactional and master data. Then the data is maybe of size of about 10,000 records. So I'll go with L type. Yeah. So I'll choose L as the size category. And then I'm expecting response time probably somewhere around maybe let's go with response time as 10 milli, less than 10 millisecond I'm expecting. Okay, that's what my expectation. So I'll go with maybe this one. So or maybe let's try with B1. So I will in this case can choose any one of them but can't use mixed. So you see I can't use mixed, but my data type is mixed. So I'll go with mixed one. So I'll go with this one, C, with mixed type and then large as my data category. So let's try that. So I'm going to go back. So mixed and service quality, I'm expecting C. Yeah, C. And please check, make sure that I have a large because I have records in tens of thousands. Last time when I analyzed, I could see those many number of records was processed. So let's give that and activate. Now, guys, what and interestingly you can also do is you can go and check in your system, in your ABAP system, whether a CDS view has these annotation maintained or not. I'll show you that in a second. So let me activate this. And now let's do the runtime analysis again. So go back. So I already noted down the last time when I executed it was taking this much time. So let's go back and we will activate the trace again. I've activated the trace. We'll execute my CDS view quickly, done. And now I'll go back and just deactivate my trace. And let me then just quickly go back and check the results actually. So let me just display the trace. All right. And let's go back and put my CDS view name again here. And now I execute. And oh, wow, there you go. You can see it's taking about 56.208. So last time it was something like 309.208. Probably, yes, there is some improvement. Let's calculate how much percentage we really improved. Oops, I'm sorry. 56.309 and about 81% improvement we have got in terms of performance, guys. You can see after putting these annotations, really fantastic. This is an achievement. And now maybe I just drill down and see at the query plan level what has happened. Graphical explain. Once again, the same thing. It will launch a view for you, the dependency chart, and of course you can compare them as compared to last time, how much time each of the step is taking. Of course, this is something which we saw in the last video. So this is one good way how you can check and find out or probably improve the performance to get good service quality. So you can always make sure like this, you can put these, and I've already going to share this PPT with you. Just download and try it out yourself in your custom CDS view. Now coming to the point, what if the developer in your team has not maintained it? You cannot go to every CDS view in the system and just check, open and check, open and check. Can't do that. You probably want a technique by which you want to find out if all the CDS views, which are custom CDS views in your company, are really having these annotations properly maintained or not. If not, then probably want to give a quick report where I want to list down all those CDS views where they have not maintained these service qualities for good performance in CDS, right? So that's something we'll see in part 3 as a bonus. So with that, I will check out. Don't forget to subscribe on this channel. If you think this video is helpful, please hit the like button. And feel free to come back to anubhavtrainings.com for all the latest and greatest courses on SAP UI5, ABAP on HANA, come S4 HANA, and a lot of interesting topics are available out there on anubhavtrainings.com. With that, Anubhav signing out. Thank you so much and see you in the next session. Goodbye.